Welcome to Two Homers and a Realist. This is the post game for the first game of the season against UTEP. We are at full strength. In fact, we're beyond full strength. We're at 120% of full strength or something like that. I've had one too many bourbon to do a lot of math in public, but
that's accurate.
We have everybody here plus one. So I'll just go around the table. This is Steve,
Connor,
Christian,
Jay,
Lucas.
All right, guys. Who was at the game? Who attended the game today?
I think we were all there.
I went to the game.
Yep.
We all went to the game.
Everybody stayed for the whole game?
Everybody stayed for the whole
stayed.
game.
We all
till the final whistle.
Except for the student section.
Interesting. We're going to have some different takes on that if we get it. I didn't know we were going to bring it up.
Yeah,
but
olds.
Since one of the olds tweeted it on the account, I guess we're going to have to bring it up.
We talked about it on the pod. We'll get into it.
We'll get into it. Sooners win pretty big, win pretty solidly.
Sooners cover.
That needs to be mentioned.
By half a point.
And it's all it takes to
Yep,
cover.
That's all it takes.
And held UTEP to 13 points, scored 45 points. That was lower than most of us predicted. It was higher than one of us predicted. One of us predicted 44, and he almost hit it on the numbers.
Yep.
In his first ever membership in the official OU Bets pool, and he almost comes out with a bonus dollar right out the gate.
It's a great football mind.
Pretty good by Christian, who thought we were just predicting for three quarters and didn't realize we were giving a final score. They should have scored more probably, but we'll get into that. Let's go around and see just what your initial takes are and what your key takeaways were from today's game. Who wants to start?
I can start. I think a lot of today was it was a feel-out game. Obviously, we've talked about it. Not going to see a lot today, but you saw. I think one thing that was very telling was how long the starters were in the game, both offensive and defensive. I mean, even late in the game, rotating a decent amount of starters through the rotations and not getting a lot of second-string guys in until very, very, very late. I don't know. It's an interesting feeling. I'm happy. I mean, the fact you cover a 31.5-point line that's a pretty big deal against a UTEP team who I thought was going to be able to throw the ball pretty, not consistently, but would take some shots that we didn't give up at the end of the day. So overall, happy. I think it's going to take a couple weeks to really see, what this team is, who we are, but a lot of optimism to carry forward for sure.
Christian, what'd you think? Or positive, negative?
Yeah, I'm positive as well. Honestly, I think I took the same mindset as Connor, as just like kind of optimism going forward. Not a whole lot was seen today, but and once again, maybe this is me just kind of being bought into the culture that we're starting with, the new era of OU football. But just kind of some of the little things that I noticed. Just a lot of energy on defense, a lot of hats flying to the ball. And even special teams. I mean, you saw every single player was excited all the time, being on the field. Coaches excited anytime anything happened.
Well, I mean, you noticed Jordan Kanik as well.
Yeah.
What are your comments on that?
Just every single time we would go to kickoff, he was, as a linebacker, weighs, 220, 230 pounds?
Big dude.
Beating every single DB down the field on kickoff every single time. Just pure effort. And every single time anything would happen, Miguel Chavez is lit up on the sideline yelling at everyone. It just seemed, once again, maybe I'm bought in, but it just seemed different. And in a positive note to me. Once again, like the offense, we put up points, but we've done that in the past. Defense looked mainly good. Once again, it's against UTEP, but just kind of the little things that I thought just kind of the energy and the motivation on defense and on offense just looked exciting to me. So I'm more positive coming out of it.
Jay, thoughts?
I feel the same as I did before the game. It is what it is. We came out, did what we needed to do. Did not show much defensively. It was base defense the whole game.
Yep.
That was one of your
even
predictions.
Even with our twos.
I was a little disappointed. Even though we got several sacks tonight, I don't feel like the quarterback was pressured. But a lot of that also had to do with max protection a lot of times. But the counter
and a lack of a blitz package.
But the counter to that is, if they've got max protect, there's not that many people to cover, so there were still too many people open. And I think we're adjusting to a zone scheme. Our linebackers got to find their fits better so that his throws aren't so direct to his receivers. But again, I think we just did what we needed to do. There was nothing fancy.
I think it's a lot of good.
It was
tape.
a lot of effort.
It's a lot of good tape there.
Yeah, good effort. We stopped the run extremely well. They basically stopped trying to run.
Yeah, I mean, what did they get? I look up and they had 1 yard deep into the third or fourth quarter.
Yeah, I saw that as well.
Net. And I think they're netting the sacks against,
right.
but still.
Offensively, it was also vanilla, so hard to read too much on that.
Not as
Gabriel
much
was a
run as
little
what I
rusty.
thought.
I think he was a little rusty. He hadn't played a game in a while.
Yeah, and you pointed out earlier that UTEP has played a game for what
Right.
it's worth.
Right.
That does matter. You
Right.
do get to game speed faster. You do get your attitude and your adjustment. You do have a little bit more of the chemistry that it takes just to put together the ins and outs of going through every different snap. So I think that matters, and there'll be a difference, and I look for a difference. We'll get to that later, but one thing I'll look forward to in the next week is to see a little more sharpness. But Lucas, what were your takes on today?
I'd say I was satisfied with how the game went. I wasn't overly happy with how everything was.
Have you ever been overly happy?
Yeah, I have been.
One time?
There's been a couple games in the.
I mean, about anything in life. but
Uh,
okay.
Win. Give me
Yeah,
a game. What
sometimes.
game?
2000 OU Texas. Couldn't have been any happier that game. 6-3-14, awesome.
Yeah,
good
That,
times.
that was
Fair.
good. That was fair.
The 08 Texas Tech
That's what I was
game.
gonna say.
Couldn't be any happier about that game.
14 Alabama.
17.
So those are the
Ohio
standard
State.
bears. Okay.
Do what?
17 Ohio State. Missed some opportunities.
Happy
up
because I
front.
was there, but it was still a nail biter.
It was.
I like blowouts.
Yeah, especially against those number 2 teams in the nation.
I would say, well, I mean, we only had 3 punts. We had 10 possessions, 3 punts, no turnovers. That's a good sign. I think the downside to what we all had 59 points being scored.
Not me.
I thought.
No,
I
he had
thought,
48, he had 44.
I didn't really like the fact that we couldn't get off the field in 3rd and 5s again.
Agree.
It felt like last season all over again.
Sometimes.
Right. I was happy. I mean, Reggie Grimes was a monster
Yeah,
today.
he was
I
on
mean,
today.
he was.
Reggie Grimes.
He was in the backfield the whole game.
Reggie Grimes should have got a game ball.
But it sucked that every time it's like 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5, they're picking it up, and their 3rd down percentage. When I looked at the in stats, I don't have them handy, but somebody didn't print them out. But the 3rd down conversion rate, I would have thought would have been higher when I looked at the final stats. But I guess they were also picking up first downs on 2nd down quite a bit, and it just seemed like they would have 4 or 5 minute drives that should have been not necessarily a 3 and out, but maybe a 1 first down.
They
I mean,
definitely
they had more
sustained
first downs.
A few too many drives.
They had
Yeah.
They had more first downs than we did, but I think the difference in scoring 45 and scoring the 59 that 3 of us kind of predicted was we could have got them off the field at least 2 or 3 times
And had
They were-
netted, like,
and
netted
got
2 more
and scored 2 more
probably.
touchdowns.
They
out
were
of-
5 of 15 on 3rd down
5
conversions.
That's
not real good.
It's not real good, but their 2nd downs must have
That's
been a lot
wild.
better.
Man.
A
That's
couple
really
of times
crazy.
they
It
should have been
felt
off
like
the
a lot
field
more.
were penalties.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got bailed out by a few penalties, some
Yeah.
arguable calls on a couple.
I will say from a
situations.
discipline standpoint though, we looked a little bit cleaner at least.
I mean, 10 possessions doesn't sound like much for a team like us against a caliber of team like that. I would have guessed we'd have had 13 or 14, especially as fast as we scored in the first
Yeah.
quarter.
Yeah.
I mean, it's 21 points the first quarter. I also thought,
Well, there were different
we're
periods
right
of the
around
game
on
that
pace.
played
Yeah.
at completely different paces.
Right.
For sure. Well, my thoughts. Didn't mean to cut you off. You
You're
had
good.
more. My thoughts on the game, and I'll just get into a few of my little game notes that I made at certain points. Echo a lot of what you said. Overall positive. Overall, I would say met most expectations, and my expectations were high. Had a few moments, significant moments, like in the second quarter, where I was a bit concerned about things. So, some of the things I wrote down were a lack of complementary football. You look at the time of possession; it was 38 minutes compared to 21, and that's okay, except you need to make sure, one, that your defense isn't getting exhausted and you are able to make stops, and that, two, that when you've just had a long drive, that if you're going to go out and go pass, those need to be completed.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think
we talked about that on our midweek pod when I brought up the fact that are you guys at all worried about this up-tempo offense getting on the field and having a 3 and out and only 45 seconds are off the clock, and then your defense is right back out there.
Right. It was a good concern, and so in the second quarter that became acute. I wonder, because I wrote down lack of a run game at that point, but the run game came along really strong. So, and it's my understanding Levy's a run first kind of guy.
Yep.
So I think he was trying to establish some things with the pass. My guess is he felt comfortable in the position they were in and was trying to see if they could pass. I didn't pay a lot of attention to see what the defense was giving him, but it did not look very clean in the 3 and outs that I was seeing there in the second quarter when it was pass, and we're punting the ball. There were a few I think there was one that was a drop pass. There was another that was just nearly a first down, and you arguably could have gone for it if you wanted to be kind of gutsy. But I thought, why aren't they running the ball? And you, I think, texted run the damn ball. And then they did started to run the ball and had a lot of success after that. So I'll temper my concern there a little bit with the fact they did. Lucas had brought up before deep ball issues, and he has not connected real cleanly on the deep ball yet. We'll see. Could be opening game jitters. Could be just a lack of getting into what might be midseason form where he's hitting it right in the pocket, but we'll see. The deep ball isn't as clean as we'd like it to be. The line, I thought both offense and defensive line in moments and overall played pretty darn well. The defensive line had a couple of sacks in the second half. I think it was the third quarter.
Yep.
When they were clearly coverage sacks because they had a lot of time and they were getting to him. So that made me feel good about those issues when it looks like they were cleaning some stuff up and figuring out what they needed to do to cover those guys that were open against what was kind of max protect still. There was still a pretty heavy protection. So it kind of got better as it went on. I felt like they learned. Maybe they even made some adjustments at halftime there. I'm not sure. But I felt like there was a lot of positive energy with the players all the way through to when they finally did get late in the game, what you'd call true second, third string type guys, the non-starters or the guys not competing for starting jobs, played hard, seemed to be in good positions. Just felt pretty positive about most of that, what I saw. No injuries, right? As far as we know?
No one went down.
No one went down. They had a lot of people that went down, but nothing that looked real severe. Hard hitting. I would say the gang tackling, the hard hitting was definitely there. A lot of offensive strength as well. I think Marcus Major, we can get into that in a second, and my guess is he's the starter. He should be the starter.
Yeah.
He runs more like a starter. I think Gray depends too much on that one sharp cutback move that he does, and
Gray is so much more effective as a receiving wide receiver or a receiving running back.
He has a ton of talent and a ton of potential. I just think they still haven't figured out how to use him properly. I don't think he's a starting running back. I think he's like
I agree.
that gadget tool that they need to use. I mean, K-State had that guy last year. I can't remember his name.
Yeah, and he abused us.
Use him like him, a little bit.
Deuce
Vaughn?
Yeah.
He's still there.
Which I think he was like their starting running back as well. But just kind of how they got him out in space
way he
and
used it
swung
in
the
space.
ball to him is what they need to do with Gray.
Yeah, and like they're not running him between the tackles too often.
If you're going to do that, I think
he had
Major
one
needs
good
to be
run
the guy.
in between the tackles.
Yeah.
What? In
He
the
did.
first half.
when
He
when he
found a
cut back,
seam and found that
Yeah.
like 20, 30-yard
Yep.
run.
Which when he sees a hole, I think he's professional enough to
Right.
be able to
To use it,
recognize
just go
it
get
and take it. It's just when Gray gets hit, Gray's probably
Going down.
it's not going
Yeah.
too much further.
Well,
And
Major had a shoestring tackle that he had a
He-
wide open gut.
he had it all the
and
way, yeah.
The guy lineman tripped him up, or else he would have been. He'd
And
had another 20 or 30-yard run.
Who
on
is
there.
the guy that came in? He fumbled but got his own fumble. He ran really
Barnes.
hard. Barnes
yeah.
ran really hard.
Yeah,
Barnes
he
is good.
did.
And they didn't pull him after the fumble. He stayed
like
in on
it.
that.
Right.
Yeah,
I like
Lincoln,
it.
Lincoln would have pulled him, and he
Don't
wouldn't have been on the.
punish.
He wouldn't have been on the
absolutely-
In
field.
fact, he might not have seen the field the rest of the year.
Yeah, it would have been like who do you do that with?
Abdul Adams.
Abdul Adams.
Yep.
No, I mean,
Yeah,
great.
Javonte Barnes was the third running back in the game before Tawee Walker was,
Yep.
so that was a little bit
About
surprising.
10 minutes
Yeah.
in, I want the record to show that Lucas brought up Lincoln Riley, but okay.
Yep.
But that's a good point for sure. What other thoughts do you guys have about what we saw? Concerns or just things that are positive and accolades?
Positive was punt returning.
Yeah.
Even though we didn't have anything major, Mims had, I think, a 17-yard return on one of them that probably would have been a fair catch.
And it was
and he held
previously.
on to the ball on that illegal hit, the fair catch.
Yep.
He got hit pretty hard.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was that. I don't know. I take a lot, maybe too much out of little things like that, but That
And it was nice.
Was positive.
We almost blocked the first punt.
Yes, we
that
did.
was actually pretty aggressive, which was nice.
Mhm.
And on that one, it doesn't seem like even though you've set up a block that you've automatically told your returner to take the fair catch.
Yeah,
because
no,
on the
he
very
didn't
first
fair
one,
catch it, yeah.
So, and then later they were doing this thing where they would roll their arms,
Excuse
and
me.
that meant it's like a
Yeah.
punt protect essentially. And,
It seemed like he had some. Yeah, exactly.
and then there
but
was no
otherwise,
rush
he had some
whatsoever
discretion.
on that.
Yeah.
'Cause I think 3 of the times, twice we went after the punt, and the rest of the punts were just kind of a safe.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We didn't do a great job blocking. I don't think the Gunners, but
Can you block the gunners anymore though? I don't think you can engage gunners.
we can't.
I thought they changed that rule.
I'm not sure.
That
I
would
thought-
seem pretty silly.
At all? Yeah.
I thought
seems
that
odd to
that
me.
was the new rule, something like that, and that's why.
Well, there- can't block him,
there
why would
is
you have
some-
anybody
there is
out there?
something
Right.
weird with that guy who snapped the ball. I don't know if it's like a first level block on the line or like.
Oh, you can't go after the guy that snaps the ball.
I know you can't.
No,
yeah,
it's
the
it's
snapper,
not
but
the gunners. It's not the people out wide, but the people on the line are allowed to release.
and you
not
can't
not
block
just
them?
the deep snapper.
Well, I know they're okay.
Yeah,
I know they're
yeah.
allowed to release, but I thought you couldn't engage the gunners. But like,
Well, you just have to like be in their way.
yeah, exactly. I don't think you can actually do the physical engagement like they would.
Well, and see that's
Which would
stupid
be
because you can
like
you
the
can
NFL
touch a
5
receiver in 5 yards
Right.
on a route to
Right.
throw him off. Why
But it's a
wouldn't you be able to do that
little
on a
different
punt?
than the
I don't
NFL. So
know.
what can
It
you do in
wouldn't, it
college?
wouldn't
Because-
surprise me if that wasn't a rule because of
I don't know. We look
Because
at
that guy could be going
the
out for a
coverage.
catch. I mean, he could be going out for a catch.
Yeah,
well-
so essentially, he's a
No
wide
running
receiver
around.
No, I know,
until the punt happens.
I know. Yeah, I'm just saying. I'm
Yeah,
saying what I think might be the
Right.
rule. I don't know. We'll look.
but it was
it
just
up.
nice to
We'll
see some aggressiveness,
Mm-hmm.
both in trying to block a couple times and then not automatic fair catches on punts.
I
Absolutely.
think one of the positives for me was the emergence of Braden Willis.
He looked strong.
Yeah,
Caught the ball well. Ran really good routes, clean routes.
I think he was there last year, and he was underutilized.
Yeah, I do. Too, yeah.
He said that. He had a quote saying that multiple OU coaches had told him that he wasn't being used enough, that he was completely overlooked the past couple of years.
Yeah, I can see it.
I think
It's
one of the
just
former
crazy with a
players on
coach like
Twitter
Joe
too mentioned how he was blocking some people really well on some run plays.
that
He
first
had,
year
had
he
a
played-
massive pancake today.
The
as
first year he
well.
played,
Yeah,
he
he
was
did.
more of like a H-back, like thicker, slower
Right.
type. And then last year,
Right.
going into that season, he lost weight and then
Mhm.
bulk and got bigger, essentially sleeker. And then this year he's just kept the same build.
How much was
and now
how
he's
much was
awesome.
Daniel Parker in there at the on the edge? I saw him a few times.
Yeah, I didn't see him.
I
a
didn't
whole
pay
lot.
much attention.
Daniel Parker looks like a lineman.
I don't
though.
think he went out for a pass
I don't think he did either.
in the routes.
One
that I can remember.
player that was a little surprising, I think, to a lot of people on the depth chart was Jaden Davis, and he had at least one really good play. He had several good plays, but one where he avoided the block and,
Yeah.
and dove deep in, behind the line. He one step away from maybe picking that ball off,
Yeah.
and definitely is right there to make the tackle for a
Right.
loss on that little swing out pass. On one of Gabriel's swing out passes, which was sort of reminiscent of Landry Jones, he fired it over there into a lot of
mess.
people, a lot of mess. But had the receiver, I can't remember who the receiver was it Willis? Had he kept coming back, he probably could have cut back against the entire grain of the field and maybe would have scored because everyone was right there and they thought they had him and they didn't. And he tried to cut up field too soon. But I thought that was a good effort by him to make sure he finished the play and avoided what could have been a really bad situation by fighting for the ball. I didn't think that Gabriel had too many questionable throws or as far as decisions go. There were a couple where you'd
He
say
threw in
that
a double coverage.
Couple into
Yeah,
coverage.
a couple into
Yeah.
coverage, but
How-
nothing horrible.
He had a swing pass that was wide open to Major. It got batted at the line of scrimmage.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
But
was
that was going to
unfortunate.
go for at least 20 because there was nobody
Yeah.
out there with him.
Several really good passes, seemingly really good decisions. I do think what Jay said, they were very plain vanilla, offensively as well as obviously defensively. It'll be interesting to see as they start to roll into some blitz packages and some other more creative things, what they're able to accomplish there. I have pretty high expectations, but I think offensively too. They're going to probably do some more schemes, both with formation as well as just the play calling and what they're aiming to accomplish in a given situation that hopefully adds some wrinkles that will be very difficult to defend.
I will admit, I did not quite like the pace of the offense.
The fast?
That's how tempo.
Yep, it was almost too fast because
Well, it's too fast for the announcer, who needs to catch on and quit talking over our play.
well,
Who listens
I
to
feel
that?
like when you do a 5 or
can
6
avoid
yard
it.
run, and you instantaneously get back on the line and then expect your offensive lineman to blow off the ball again for another run play, it just seems like you need 5-10 seconds to let those guys catch their wind for just a second.
Maybe, I don't know. I'm going to trust their judgment that they know what those guys are capable of.
And when you go that quickly,
Same could be said
it
of
doesn't
defense.
surprise the defense much. I know they don't have time to set up, but it's not like the snap counts. I don't know. Again, maybe that's something
Well,
that
I think
they
it
add
takes
into it.
timing, and it can work real well, but it also can backfire. I think one thing, maybe this is to your point, when you're running a really high tempo offense, the sequence of plays you call matter a lot, and you got to think more about them. So if you run a really deep route and your receivers have gone really deep and obviously run really far, really fast, and if you come right out immediately and try to do something that is utilizing that again, and same thing with the run play, like you're saying, that you may be asking a lot to get the same thing accomplished, take advantage of the fast tempo should be throwing the defense off.
Yeah.
There
And
was
so if
one
you-
particular time that I know 100% Gray was gassed, and he still got like that fourth carry in a row.
Right.
And it went for nowhere. He
Right.
was completely gassed.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that's one of those things. I think it's one wrinkle of a tempo offense like that is depending on the physical fitness of your team. And now that we have Schmitty, I think they're going to try to hone in on the fact that we should be more in shape than other squads in the NCAA.
Well, it may be Levy just establishing him as like, hey, this is how we're going to freaking do this.
You got to get in shape because if your O line is better in shape than that defensive line, and they're gassed as well. But if you're a little bit better shape, you can get that first push better.
And
Possibly.
there's game pace in practice and walkthroughs, and then there's game pace in a game.
Right.
And it's, but I mean,
Yeah.
how about, the play of the day, in my opinion, how about Gavin Freeman? Like,
Yes.
Unbelievable.
Just using both the speed as well as strength.
in doing it, and I mean, I don't remember seeing him after that in the game.
So that was a
one play call.
one
for
play
him.
call
Yeah.
reverse. We're talking about the reverse in the third quarter.
If you had on that on your bingo card,
no, that was
I'd
in
be
the
shocked.
first quarter.
Was in the
first quarter.
Yeah.
Okay.
It might have been our 21st.
21st.
You're
Yeah,
right. You're
the third
right. You're
touchdown.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it was
Yeah.
just
And
like,
he just
what in
turned
the
on the
world just
gas
happened?
and
Broke
went.
two tackles.
I mean, he got hit, and then kept his feet,
Kept
and then
his feet.
outran the
Well,
guy at the
they're
end.
saying he's one of the fastest guys on the team.
Well, he was clearly very fast.
And but I mean, if you look at what that guy looked like going into camp, and then what he looked like coming out of spring ball and into the season,
Yeah.
it's oh my gosh!
When I saw him come onto the field, it would be to the offense's left. It was Drake Stoops and Gavin Freeman were out wide, and I was like, "What's going on here? You got two tiny white dudes out there on the edge."
Yeah, they threw a little pass.
I thought it was gonna be a bubble screen
Yeah.
maybe for Drake to block for him, and instead it was a reverse, and
that was awesome.
it worked perfectly.
And that was such a cool play.
do you think, I'm going to fast forward to the end of the game just because it occurred to me, the interception that ends the game, which is apparently what OU does now to end
Cover the
games.
spread.
Cover the spread, to ensure the spread. The DB 24, I can't remember.
Gentry Williams.
Yeah, Gentry Williams. He immediately, and I would say
Neil
intelligently,
jumped in
goes
the end zone.
down.
Yep.
But greedily, I want him to run that out because he might have taken it the distance.
And he's a speedster.
And he is, exactly. So I wondered,
it
is
was a
that
game
Brent
clincher.
Venables in his ear
Don't
thinking,
mess up.
don't mess up,
Don't be an
don't,
idiot."
don't be an idiot.
It was
don't,
a game clincher. There was
yeah,
no reason to try
no
to take
reason,
the ball
no,
out.
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and like
Only basically bad things can happen. Now, you're not going to lose the game, but you...
He might have heard so much crap about DJ Graham's one-handed catch.
Yeah.
Instead of batting the ball away on that fourth down last
Yeah, but
year.
if you're
against
I
behind-
just think he
Nebraska.
probably said,
So he just
play
said-
smart.
yeah.
The
If you're
smart
behind,
play is to
if you're
go
behind
down.
in that situation, if you're down a couple of points and you do that, you definitely try and house that.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah. For
Well,
sure.
and
Well, this
Gentry-
is the only other time you might, because you're up by so much, you're not going to lose
Right,
the game.
right.
But you might get injured, and there's no reason to risk it. So it was the smart
or he
play.
might fumble. or-
Greedily, I wanted to
I
see
mean,
him
he
do
may
it.
just not want to hear it from Venables.
No, I
or
think
who-
that's exactly
Yeah,
it. I
mean,
think it's well coached.
Yeah.
What I'm circling around at is I think he's well coached to know immediately you go down. No one had to tell him. You didn't have another DB running over and saying it. He just went down.
Well, and I think it's Venables, and plus it's Jay Valai. I mean, everything I've heard and seen about Gentry, he wasn't on the depth chart on Monday, but he's been a guy in camp who has just been a dude. And it's like, hey, I'm going to do exactly what you asked me to do. If I mess up, I'm going to listen to you, and then I'm going to go fix it. It's one of those things. And I think it just goes back to the phrase, it's just a full buy-in from everybody. And you get a buy-in from, and he's a true freshman who he could have gotten greedy and could have said, man, I see a lot of field in front of me right there, and we're up by 30 plus points. I'm going to try to house this. And it didn't even look like it was a second thought. So, I don't know. It's awesome to see that from young guys. I mean, the snaps that Jaren Canuck got in the back end of that game were on top of special teams. He was a blast to watch. Anybody who thinks he's going to be anything but a linebacker is crazy. The dude he looks like he fits the part. I think he's exactly what Venables is looking for. But again, I think that's a lot of those guys. So I think there were some weaknesses in the secondary, but at the same time, you see a lot of, like we said, like gang tackling and stuff like that. Man, just flying to the ball.
Flying to the ball. Good form tackles.
Yeah. Yes.
Open field form tackles.
There was one that should have been, who was it?
It was Jaden Davis on where he dove too early on that out route.
There was one that was on the west sideline, and it was like a 3rd and 5. And instead of, it might have been Jaden Davis, he literally just did the whole dive with your shoulder thing instead of wrapping up, and the guy got the extra yard for the first. It would have been 2 yards short, it would have been 4th and 2.
Yeah, right. And that's what we said.
That's what we were saying.
If we'd have held him up,
even if you made contact and just slow him down, it looked like guys were flying.
It's
to
going
ball.
to 4th down.
You could have slowed him down.
And that was the only time I can really remember people not trying to wrap up.
It was Jaden Davis right after he made that play.
He reverted back to
just
diving with his shoulder.
Right.
And that would have got us off the field and got us another possession.
Yeah, I mean, they're flying to the ball so much better on defense. I definitely still think the secondary is undersized. And I mean, in the Big 12, I don't know how much of an issue that'll be. Because that was one big thing with Jaden Davis is he's so small at 5'10", like 180 pounds. But against Big 12 guys, maybe that won't be so much of an issue because it's a lot more speed and quickness dependent instead of bigger guys when you play, bigger schools.
Yeah.
But as of right now, it didn't seem like an issue today because they all gang tackled, but it could be something in the long run.
But in the position he's playing, speed might be enough if he can get a lot of help from. Billy Bowman is pretty strong and stout.
Well, and that's what I was looking at. At one point, we had Jaden Davis, Billy Bowman, and Key Lawrence, and I mean, Key
Lawrence is pretty stout.
They're not bad, but maybe a little undersized compared to like an SEC team.
Billy looked a step behind.
Billy and Key both play larger than their roster stats. They play like bigger guys.
Did anybody notice today on kickoffs? I don't know from y'all's vantage point, and I'm not just saying that.
Oh, we notice everything from our.
Did you notice on the kickoffs that they were almost going out of bounds to the left?
Yes,
like 3 in a row.
I assume it was designed. I don't know.
I mean, they were barely going over the pylon.
It was really strange
and I thought
that it was kicking to that corner like that.
I thought at least 2 of those 3 were going to be out of bounds.
But actually, a couple of the others that he kicked were received in that same area too, and one of them that was the weird like squib thing was designed. I think the design is we're going to kick to that corner.
Yeah.
And just.
Which I like.
I like that too. You do risk the out of bounds, but if you kick it that way every time, you can start to set up how you dictate how the flow of the defense, the kick return defense is going to be. You do set yourself up potentially for a trick play where somebody catches it and throws it backwards across the field or something.
I was more worried about out of bounds because
the out of bounds is
he was
a serious
kicking it
issue.
to that southeast corner.
It was really close.
And it was
both
it was
south
barely going
and going north.
Barely going over.
I thought he kicked it out multiple times.
I was like, man. 2 of those 3 I thought were out, and the ref never.
Yeah,
the flag.
The ones going south, I thought he kicked both of those out.
Corner,
but they weren't.
For what it's worth, the mighty 5th grade Norman Tigers, we also kick it to the left every kick.
All right.
No,
the only thought I had was
right there.
You're getting it. You have to kick farther. If you kick it directly down the field,
if you kick it straight at the goal,
you don't have to kick as far to go. It'll go deeper to the uprights.
Yeah, but it also gives the other team
more field
more
if you
field
don't
to choose
get it
left
that
or right.
Deep. If you don't get it that deep.
And so maybe you've loaded up your left side with the gunners that you want.
But many times he's kicking it to the middle of the one time
it's 8 yards deep in the end zone.
It's 8 yards deep. He could go all the way.
Not to mention, you might have two guys that are back, and they may go, "Well, you take it," and the other guy's like, "No, well, I thought you were taking it." and you never know what's going to happen. At that
One
point.
time on one of those in the south end zone, that's going towards the UTEP cheerleaders, and they scattered like a missile was coming in.
Yeah.
And it did hit right down by them, and they're out of bounds.
Yes.
So that's where I thought maybe it crossed the pylon or
it was
before the
close.
pylon, but it was close. But I bet that's a strategy. I bet that's what they're trying to do.
Well, it's going to be a strategy until we give them
Kick
free
one
yardage.
out of bounds and give it. Yeah, exactly.
Maybe
Yeah.
next week we're going to kick it to the right and practice it that way.
Yeah, who knows?
I'm not worried about him kicking a direction. I just thought he was cutting a little too close.
Cutting it
in
a
the
little
corner.
close.
Yeah.
Cutting it a little close. I would agree. Yeah, I thought so too.
But he made a field goal too. So
He did make a field
he
goal. That was good.
Perfect on his. He's perfect for the
We
season.
knew they were going to try that field goal too when they got in that position because you got to get.
Yeah,
some
at the end of the
experience.
game, I was thinking about the spread, and I was thinking, surely this guy's not going to try to kick a field goal with 3 seconds left to try to cover the spread.
Right.
And then they threw the interception in the end zone, and I was like, oh, thankfully.
Yeah.
They absolutely would have kicked it, Phil.
You think they would have?
How many
more
how
practice
many
for them? They need it.
Yeah,
how many
they
times did we
probably
how many
would've.
times did we cover last year?
We
We covered against Western Michigan,
Maybe TCU,
Western Michigan.
I think
Western
we were.
Carolina. Sorry, Western Carolina,
TCU
We
and
covered
Tech
against
possibly.
Oregon.
TCU and Texas Tech maybe.
Well, I can only pull it up on my spreadsheet.
Yeah, take a look. Today felt like we just went and got the job done, and
Can't believe it.
And that's all we could ask for. I
That's
mean,
all I can ask for.
Like I said, I think we were a couple stops on third down away from getting 2 or 3 more possessions and scoring those
Yeah.
extra 2
how
touchdowns.
much how much of
we
our
get?
how much of our offense you guys think we ran today?
Not a lot.
Nothing.
Not a lot.
20%.
Yeah.
I mean,
Because I mean, I think UTEP came out and said exactly what we just said. Levy's a run first coach, and we saw like 3 straight play action passes to
Yeah.
go down and score.
Yeah.
I mean,
To your point, though, it was kind of interesting because the front 7 played really well on defense, but there were multiple times where either the quarterback would escape, which maybe he has some escapability we didn't see. But
He's a good quarterback.
They would convert.
actually-
yeah,
I think he's
he
pretty
made
We
some.
all said the same
He
He
made
looked
some
good
good
last year.
throws. There was a
Tulane
couple
last year.
times.
No, but he
where-
looked good last week.
Yeah.
The Tulane quarterback was great last year after that game too, so I don't want to hear that crap.
That's true. He was a good
but we
quarterback.
hadn't seen that. I watched this guy play last week.
Yeah.
Literally him and the dude with the long hair.
And what did they score? How many points scored last week?
Yeah, fair enough, 13.
13.
But nonetheless, it's him and one other
That guy's
guy
good
on that
for 13 points
offense.
a
On that
game.
offense, it's that guy.
I think
It's
he's
the
a pretty good
quarterback and one other wide receiver.
I agree. I think he's a
That's
pretty
it.
good quarterback.
I think he's an average conference American.
Well, if he's an
conference,
average
whatever
conference
they're
quarterback
in.
playing at
I
UTEP,
don't-
who is a well below
yeah.
average team, he's pretty good.
He's not the Rice quarterback.
Okay.
No way.
who threw
I mean, it's better than
three
Texas.
three
has.
big
six
sixes.
sixes.
Alex Grinch.
Where has
Speed
that
D.
been, Alex
Speed D, baby.
Grinch?
Roy
So,
Manning.
He was last year. Riley, not counting the Oregon game, he was 5-6-1. He pushed one game against the spread. So in his
Shit.
career, I think he was 31, 31.
So we
and
were
one or something.
we were low point favorites in a lot of games.
Yeah. Well,
Legit. Like I mean, we talked about it like 3 pods ago. I think we only won by double digits.
I'd
3
have to
times
pull it
last
up
time.
again and look, but I'm sure it was Tech, TCU, Western Carolina, were
Iowa
3
State.
of those.
That was the
5.
only that was the
Iowa
only
State
3
by
games we won
Iowa
by 2
State
touchdowns.
and, yeah. And we weren't strong favorites in a lot of those games, but yeah.
They did not test the outside much. All their throws
Mhm.
were their receivers dropping in the zone in between.
Yeah, they did a good
In
job
between a
getting
nickel
over
and between a
linebacker and
linebacker,
under the
which
corner.
They found zone a lot.
If
Yeah.
we're running zone, that's what they should do.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I mean that it was often the backers would drop to their typical flat, and it would just be like right behind them. The receiver found a good spot and sat down.
Well, that's where we get
And the
That's what you
frustrated.
quarterback
should
was
do.
good enough
That's
to
what
get
you
it
should
there,
do.
and he
Right.
was.
Yeah, and that's where we get frustrated with the fans. Is we got fans around us saying, where you at on that, or like, what are you doing? Why are you
Yeah.
not there? It's like,
But,
man,
but
it's,
it did
it's
seem
good.
a little bit
It's-
in the second half. Stutzman or Kanik a couple times was kind of in that area to at least force a tough throw or a tipped ball or something. It seemed
Right.
it did get a little bit better in the second half.
But
to me.
many fans don't understand that it is a game of trade-offs.
Right.
You have to consider what you're going to maximize, what you're going to minimize, and you are going to get exposed to some risk, and that's one of the risks. But you're willing to give it up. That's the
Right.
nature of that defense.
And you're not going to get a tackle for loss or a incomplete pass every single
time.
down.
Yeah,
It's not
exactly.
gonna happen.
It is. It's pretty amazing to hear some of the
You're
fan
still playing
takes.
Division I football.
I think Dylan Gabriel showed me that his arm strength is a little better than I thought. Even though he didn't connect on any of those deep passes, he was in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Well, and what we were saying is
it
he was
honestly-
throwing to space.
That's what
I mean, honestly, if you close your eyes and opened them and didn't look at jersey number, he's got a lot of the same hypo throwing motion and
yeah.
and
Yes,
I
he
mean,
does.
and it's not just the left-handed thing. It seems like they're pretty similar.
Well, and I think that's what we said too when we were sitting up there, at least watching, is we didn't run a lot of just gimme passes. It wasn't a lot of little dump and dives. It
Yeah.
wasn't a lot of like, and when, we saw it with Theo. You run Theo on a little curl route or a
Yeah.
little out route or something. Get
can
him
turn something.
and
he
then
has this
let him go do
capability. Yeah,
it.
he really does.
Did he just
big
have one
playability.
catch for -1 yard?
No,
No,
he
he
had
had
that
that
big
curl
catch
route
on the
really
like
long
30.
one.
on the
Oh,
sideline.
okay,
Yeah,
Yeah.
And,
But-
and he turned it into more
Yeah,
after he caught
it was
it.
a yard after
I was
yard
waiting
after
in line at
yards after
concession stand for that
contact.
one.
So
One comment I did make to Connor during the game, and once again, it's early. I think they're still trying to figure out where to use the receivers. But possibly I think some of the receivers are not being utilized how they should yet, and it could just be the playbook is limited right now. But Mims was playing, the far outside receiver a little more often than I thought. I thought he would be in the slot more often. Because I was always thinking it was going to be Farouk and Weiss on the outside and then Mims in the slot. But they kept putting Mims out wide. And that was kind of interesting. And so I think on that, the play calls just kind of seemed different at that point because I would rather have plays where you get that guy the ball, quickly and let him work in space.
Yeah. So Farouk had at least one pretty bad drop.
He had an
today.
awful
late
drop.
in the fourth, yeah.
It was really a rough drop.
It was nice to see those three guys, Farouk, Weiss, and Mims, out there for multiple first downs without subbing in and out
Yes.
all the time.
Yes.
because-
Well, the substitution scheme was great today.
yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah, I thought it was
even
good
on
too.
even on defense, like I mean, we
Yeah,
talked about it a
Grimes
couple
would be
times.
in 7 or 8 plays in a row and he'd get 2 sacks. I mean,
Yeah,
And previously he would have played a play and got a sack
and come out.
got subbed.
yeah.
So
Well,
that
we
was
had.
good
It
to
looks
see.
like we have units. Like it looks like there's.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah,
would
that's
swap
what
We're
I'm
running in Jalen with multiple other guys.
Yeah,
We're running
especially a
in
receiver.
Jordan Kelly with other guys.
Yeah,
Like,
it's a
interesting.
package. It's a thought process. It's
Yeah.
not just blindly, that guy can't possibly have enough strength for another play. We need to give him
Yeah.
a breather.
Yeah.
Get in there.
There is one D-line unit, though, that I thought looked completely
lethal.
overpowered. And
Yeah,
that's
who was
I
it?
think
Downs,
you need to go with. Yeah.
Downs,
Downs,
Redmond.
Grimes, Redmond, and
Johnson.
88. What's his
Oh,
name?
Kelly.
Kelly.
Well, that's the start. That was the starting four.
No, Redmond didn't start.
Redmond
Kelly
didn't
started
start.
in front of us.
Start.
Kelly started in front of
But there were times when when those four were out there together where the pressure was.
I think you
you
can-
don't need a blitz.
yeah.
They were bringing
Yeah.
those four were bringing.
I
pressure
think
by
you can run
themselves.
Kelly and Redmond next to each other, and you're perfectly fine. If you're
Yeah.
running 4 down, but it was interesting to watch kind of some of the edge stuff we did.
Right.
We brought a lot of linebacker edge blitzes.
Yeah.
There wasn't
even-
a bunch of stunts,
No.
which was great.
And even with sometimes we'd put Grimes just up, like in stance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing I noticed, which was really interesting when we were running fast, was we had like 2 linemen standing up on one snap, just standing up and just snapping the ball. It was crazy. So it's going to be a completely different look to this team, and I think it's awesome.
So let's talk a little bit about how this shapes our expectations for the team for the rest of the year and what we're looking forward to seeing in the next week as well as down the road. So for me, it didn't change my opinion that they are going to compete for a 12-0 season. That I'll stay with that optimistic prediction. I think they definitely have what it takes to do that. Now, obviously, you see the live product in person and in reality, and your fantasy starts to drift back into dream world, and you realize, yes, teams are going to score on you, teams are going to stop you and cause you to punt and other things, and of course we didn't have any turnovers today, but turnovers are going to happen, so you can lose games many ways. I was very happy to see we didn't have any penalties outside of a few timing penalties early on with some nerves, and
No
then
holding.
some
The
questionable
holding on the touchdown.
the questionable
yeah, that
the-
was on the.
yes
Was that
yes.
Marcus Mate? No, it was
It was Barnes.
Barnes, yeah.
Barnes
So
scored
that's
it.
a
And when they showed the replay, it was the middle of the line.
well,
It
that's
had
the
nothing
fourth
to do
quarter. That was
nothing to do
a
with
unit,
the direction
a
you ran the
completely
ball.
different unit. The,
Yeah.
the first
Yeah.
team units were definitely not running into penalty problems at all, other than some timing things, initial first game jitters, and then some questionable calls on a defensive pass interference or two, and then that roughing the passer, which I think was a bad call. So I was pleased with that. I'm going to stick with my optimism about what this team is capable of achieving. Next week I'm looking forward to tightening things up, hopefully seeing that they can execute at a little bit higher level, and I know it'll be a lesser opponent from all indications, so they should have an easier time scoring as well as an easier time stopping them. But I think we'll be able to see some improvement, hopefully, from game 1 to game 2.
Who's your player to watch next week?
Oh, that's a good question.
Who's the player you want to see kind of just
I would like
put
to
it
see
together?
Marcus Major really put it together as a, even if he doesn't get the start, if he actually can put together solid and complete yardage, I think that would be pretty impressive. So, circling through to you guys, what do you think about it in terms of your prediction for the rest of the year, as well as what player are you looking forward to seeing next week, and what other things are you looking forward to seeing?
Yeah, I think next week, I think it's going to be, I want to say lesser. I mean, Kent State was not a pushover last year, right, in the MAC. So I think in terms of just an overall opponent, I think you see something very similar to what we saw on the field today. Maybe even, I mean, again, this is me making very broad assumptions. Kent State may have some more talent at some skill positions.
That could be.
That being said,
more talent than UTEP.
Yeah, more talent than UTEP, exactly. I would love to see Marcus Major get a little bit more run, see what he can do. My biggest thing today, I would love to see, I'd love to see Billy Bowman still kind of come into his role as a safety.
That's a good point.
Today
He was close.
I think he played really well. I think he second guessed himself a few times, where he could probably be a little bit more aggressive. Christian brought up a good point during the game where I think this squad has been so trained, or so at least in the back of their mind subconsciously saying to themselves, I don't want to get burned deep, where they may be second guessing some routes that are right in front of their face.
Right.
And you saw that a couple times today with Billy Bowman, where, he's a step too late and it's a first down on a guy that's right in front of him, right at the sticks. So I'd love to see him kind of come into his own offensively. I don't know if I need to see a lot more outside of just Marcus Major. I'd love to establish the run and see what we can do on the ground. But overall, like Steve said, today doesn't change my mind. I think we're still a threat to make the playoff. I think it's going to be really telling over the next 3 weeks kind of who we are. But nothing changed as to what my opinion is of the team after today.
You guys, any changes?
I think we'll see a lot of the same that we saw today. Like you said, Steve, just hopefully tightening up a little bit on the defense. I think that's going to just change. Just possibly, I think we ran a lot of base defense, so possibly just adding a few more wrinkles and possibly just making it look, more like a complete unit, like they can really start shutting down offenses completely instead of just kind of holding them, instead of, like really suffocating them like Brent Venables talked about, instead of just, being there and stifling it.
That's a great point. Yeah.
Honestly, what I would like to see next week, the player I would like to see more, is honestly Dylan Gabriel. I don't think he played bad today. I was someone that when he honestly first announced his transfer, I wasn't super high on the kid. I think, he's done well. He's an accurate thrower, but he didn't play at, a major big-time school against big-time competition, and I don't think the Big 12 is great either. But I still just want to see maybe a little bit more of him just being a complete, if it's going to be a strategy quarterback and, just getting the statistical throws where he throws often and is just quick and accurate and gets those, quick hits, that's fine. I would like to see that. I think our running game will come. I think we're talented enough there that I'm not worried about it. I'm still a little interested to see what Gabriel can do as a complete quarterback and just running the offense and kind of being in command of it.
No, I like that.
Any thoughts, you guys?
Yeah, I think, next week will be what we saw today. I don't even know that we're going to add in much more defensively next week.
I'm sure we won't.
There's no reason to. Offensively, I'll have to watch it over again, but some of it just didn't seem like the right strategy for me, just in my opinion.
I would say the flow didn't look as good as what we want.
I didn't like it.
I don't think it's what Levy wanted
Your
either.
defense lets like a 6-7 minute drive go up, and you come out there and you throw 3 like you were saying earlier, not easy completable passes, and you're just like, what are
But
you
that's
doing?
the
Put
thing.
defense right back on the field.
What is the long game there? Like that's again, like back to what we said. That's not a Levy offense.
No, it's not.
I think
know?
it was just practice. I don't
It's
know.
like, hey, Dylan,
I-
I want to get you some reps. I want you guys. We want to see
Right.
what we're running out there.
I think the coaches were up 21
0.
nothing, and they're like, hey, let's just do this.
Yeah, let's,
I think you're
I
right.
think
let's
another
take
factor
a couple fun shots
and
but-
not running the ball as much is you're missing an offensive lineman.
It's true.
Antoine Harris was playing the right tackle position instead of the left, and so you're having to put somebody else in at left tackle.
having people adjust.
And yeah, I mean, you've
That's fair.
practiced for months with probably the starting 5 being together,
Yeah,
and then you
It's a good point.
you throw somebody in that's not playing where they should, and it throws off your running game because
yeah.
I mean,
And there were times where
you're
the
not
offensive
pushing the
line
same
looked a
directions.
little
They-
bit in disarray.
They didn't look great. I mean, Gabriel didn't have all day like you'd kind of expect against UTEP. He wasn't really rushed often, but just didn't have all the time in the world.
I think Beatonbow this year, though, relative to last year, is going to have a little bit more power to fix that.
I already think they're in a better position now than they were last
Agreed.
year at this
Agreed.
point.
For sure.
So that comes up to
Physicality,
something I'm
even.
looking forward to that I didn't mention. I want to see more complementary football. I want to see more strategic football, thinking about the situation. And you know, it's easy to pick on time of possession, and then you look at the margin of victory, and you're like, what does it possibly matter? And you're right. I just would like to see us have what looks like a coherent strategy. If you fail on and go 3 and out, or if you just go 5 or 6 plays and then you have to punt the ball, whatever, to do that, it better be explainable that things just didn't come together the way they should have, and not that you're putting your defense back on the field after they've just had a long slog of trying to stop someone, even if they did get the stop. So
I think what frustrates me with what you're saying is they really did not stop the run game ever today. And
UTEP?
we just went away from it.
We just went away from it.
Right.
Right.
So you
There
could have
was never a point to establish it.
you could have just sustained those drives a little bit longer
and then opened up more passing.
and just
But see,
exactly.
but
You don't
that-
have to do it right off the get go to
But
immediately
that
go
goes
3
to
and
the
out.
point, though. Are we reducing wear and tear on our running backs for the first couple games? Are we? Which given like
I think they were just trying to
We'll
get some
put in other
passing
ones.
practice.
we're deep there.
I was about to say I don't think so. I don't think that was it.
Gabriel needs to learn to slide. The one where
Yeah.
there was a corner blitz from the right, and he saw it perfect on his own read, and he kept and went right around the guy and got 15 yards or something. It looked like he was in between if he wanted to slide or if he wanted to just go down, and he did this kind of stumble fall down. He needs to watch some Kyler tape and just learn the baseball slide.
baseball slide.
But the first touchdown he scored was a great run.
He made a guy
I
miss.
don't want
into
him.
the
strong
I don't want him
run.
running more than 2 or 3 times a game. But
Mhm.
it's nice to know that if he sees it, he's good for
Yep.
10 to 15
Right.
yards. I think with no
Right.
problem.
And he's a pretty solid guy. I think he
Yeah.
can take a hit or two, so that was good.
And my thoughts are, for the season, if we can hold all these teams under 13, 16, 18 points,
We'll probably
we
win.
shouldn't lose.
You're right.
We should
Yeah.
be scoring over 24 every game.
Every game.
And if we can keep all the other teams under 20, I mean,
There's no reason we can't. I mean, and
outside of a
again,
random pick six or a
yeah,
punt return for touchdown being the swing of a game.
this
which
defense,
is entirely possible,
This defense
but-
looks like it's not even remotely close to what it's going to end up being,
Right.
in my opinion. I mean, Ethan Downs.
And that's
was-
how it should be game one.
Yeah,
I mean, you're
and
not going to be
Ethan Downs was
mid-season
great
form.
today, and I think he's going to be just him. Danny Stutzman was phenomenal today,
Stutzman looked great.
and I still think he's still. I mean, watching him throughout the season is going to be spectacular.
Aguayo looked really good today.
Yeah.
Aguayo
Yeah.
looked
Compared to
great.
last season,
Aguayo
he
and
looked a whole lot
Stutzman
better.
together looked like they had a really good flow,
Oh,
really
man.
good chemistry
I
together.
don't know what
Exactly.
everybody's
Don't
sees in
know
Deshaun White. I haven't
I don't
understood
either.
it since he's been here. I guess he was like the only guy they could put out there the last 2 seasons, but coming into this season, when they named him a starter, I was a little surprised, but I thought maybe it's just the experience. But I don't understand the fascination. I don't
Harrington looks.
think he's
huge.
great. I think that's our one weakness at linebacker is
But
I don't- I
he
don't
plays
think
that
Deshaun-
cheater role.
Yeah, did you have anything today though that like makes you think like Deshaun White messed up?
no, not necessarily. I just don't think he does anything when he's out there. a couple times he was
But is
trying
that
to
like
cover.
no news is
There's a
good
couple
news type
times he
of
was
thing?
trying to cover a receiver, which he can't do.
I don't know if
He
that
can cover a tight
position's no
end,
news is good news.
But yeah, that's your disruption. You know what I mean? That's the Roy back or whatever.
But we didn't bring him on
Cheetah.
anything though.
No, they really
I'm
did
not
put him
calling
out in
cheetah.
space a lot. But I agree, he was out covering receivers, and I don't think that's his strong point.
Yeah, it's definitely not.
I wouldn't really want him out there, but that is a tough role. As that cheetah role, you're kind of in between, and I think he's much closer to a backer who's just undersized and
They
not the
didn't
best
blitz
backer.
him, I don't think.
No.
So that's part of the vanilla part, probably. Is
Right.
Maybe he'll surprise me. You know, Nebraska game.
Yeah, they didn't bring him
They
on
start
anything.
utilizing him more as a pass rusher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it just seems like he kind of the play starts and he kind of dances left and he maybe dances right, and then once the ball's thrown, he goes and attacks. But it doesn't seem like he's doing anything.
He's just a guy.
And it's not just this game. It just seems
Yeah.
like his whole career, he's just kind of
kinda
out
out
there.
there.
Is
Yeah.
there someone else on the roster you think would kind of play
Well,
that
I mean,
position
if
better?
it's that cheetah position,
Well, it's Harrington's.
It's Harrington.
Yeah.
He's faster and I guarantee
Longer.
he hits
He's
just
lo-
as
he's
hard.
longer.
He's definitely longer.
yeah.
longer.
He
I don't-
didn't play as much as I thought he would at all.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. And they were in pass coverage the majority of the time. And to me, if you're going to have, it's not a nickel position, but if you're going to have an extra receiver out there, Harrington's the guy you want in there covering and not Deshaun
Right.
White.
Right.
And that didn't make
I
sense to me.
I think if the offense we were playing had more lethal receivers, I don't think White would be out there on
Yeah,
those.
I think you saw.
depends
I
against
think
the
you
offense
saw
you
a
go.
nod to Deshaun
Yeah.
White's captaincy.
Because honestly, a lot of
and his
times, just
experience.
as a defense in general, they would run those 3 wide sets, and the safety had the slot guy. The
Yeah.
safety's 20 yards off the ball,
Yeah.
and then you had Deshaun White covering
Air.
another receiver, and then you have your corner. But
Which a couple times they did do that, and they went that quick throw to the slot receiver because he's pretty much uncovered, and they get
Yeah.
5 or 6 yards a pop.
Yeah. I like to see that get tightened up.
Yeah, I agree.
I'd like to see that get tightened up. There's a lot of things that can be tightened up. Of course, a lot of it will change when they get a fuller package in there. And maybe some of these positions that we're looking at and the players that are in them are meant for a different defensive or offensive package, depending on what we're looking at. And,
Right.
And the game changes completely when they're running blitzes, when they're running different
Right.
schemes and trying to do things creative that they're not in any need of showing right now, and just want to kind of get through the motions of these opponents that we should be taking care of, and we did today. We took care of business.
Well, and I think you'll see next week. I think you're going to see a very, very similar ball game. I think you may see when we go up to Lincoln, it like a more of a
Things open up.
step on your neck mentality where it's.
I mean,
hey man,
Nebraska might be less talented than you.
They might be the least
So-
difficult.
But
of
I
the
don't.
three.
I also don't think against Nebraska we're going to be holding any punches.
No, we
where
won't.
it's
No, I don't
hey,
think
like
so either.
I'm going to be on the road, and
Hostile
I'm going to
environment.
establish myself. And I'm
You're
gonna
playing a
show you
team
guys.
that is dangerous in that they have
Nothing to
very little to
lose.
lose or
Right.
nothing to lose, and a coach that maybe has every reason to gamble.
and it's
because
Yeah.
it's their biggest game.
Because
of the
at that point, he's only
Yeah.
going to have 2 games left before he loses
Before he gets fired.
$7.5 million on his
Yeah.
contract.
yeah, so his buyout goes down
Yep.
by half, and
So
October
it-
1st.
It is, and we've seen now precedent of coaches getting fired mid-season.
are we going to that
So
game?
I'm going to that game.
I think I'll be there. Are you going to go to that game?
I'm gonna go.
Christian?
I'm
You're
gonna
gonna
go.
go.
I'm gonna
She's
go.
gonna go.
I'm gonna go.
Yeah.
Jay's thinking about going.
I'm thinking about going.
Jay might go?
6 would be a
That'd be
impromptu.
Yeah.
the-
Lucas, you going to go to the game?
You're gonna go to the game, right?
I'll be
Oh, Lucas ain't
traveling
going
to
to
see
game,
Pearl
yeah.
Jam.
Oh, you're
Yeah,
going
yeah,
to a
yeah, yeah.
concert. You've
Multiple
never
concerts.
You've never seen Pearl Jam in concert, though.
I
It's the
have.
first time,
You
right?
have?
12 times.
12 times.
man, yeah,
I've seen
I
OU
forgot.
play Nebraska
12
times.
Oh, okay. So you know
Oh,
the
okay,
outcome
yeah.
of this game?
Perfect.
Because I know the outcome of the concert.
I don't know the outcome of
They're
the
gonna play some
concert.
songs.
Yep.
Yeah. We go put them on right now on Spotify.
I mean, OU's going to snap
play
the
every
ball.
one of them.
They're going to throw the ball. They're going to run the ball.
That's kind of different. Yeah, we don't know.
Who's
We don't
Nebraska
know.
got next week? It's like it's another layup.
So they pulled away today and won 38-17. The game was pretty tight for a while. It was within one score
North Dakota's getting
for
trouble.
quite a bit, and that was the mighty North Dakota. I don't know, what are they? The oil people. So I don't know. Look it up, somebody. I don't know who they play next
I thought
week.
it was South Dakota, but not or South Dakota State. It was one of those two.
That's who we played last year, right?
Who they play next week?
No, it's who they played today, wasn't it?
No, they played North Dakota.
It was
today, wasn't
but
it?
it wasn't.
Yeah, it was
Dakota.
North Dakota today.
Not North Dakota State though.
So we all established we think Deshaun White is the one quote starter on defense that we would like to be replaced in our opinions.
or that we have big question marks about.
played
I'm not gonna be so bold to say I'd like
Georgia
to see him
Southern.
replaced. I just have big question marks
one
about
of
it.
I mean, just for 3
offensively,
seasons,
they
I
played
haven't
Georgia
seen him
Southern.
do much of anything.
Nebraska plays
Georgia
Wow.
Southern's hot though. They're 1-0.
Well, they're
they-
playing that game in New Zealand. I think
They beat Morgan State 59-7. Actually, maybe a game next
that
week.
might be a game.
Might be a game.
We might not get to face Scott Frost.
No.
I know it's just one game, but do we all feel like Marcus Majors running back 1?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
I really do.
I think that's really a widespread view. I informally have a different friend group that we're all
You have other
chiming in with the
friends?
same thing. I know I didn't want to actually say that, but yeah, I've
They're
got
not
some
on
other
the pod,
people.
so they
I don't think we
matter.
have an RB1.
They're
That's what I said on the last pod.
You're just gonna keep switching people.
I don't think either of those guys.
well, that could
are
be
the
true,
answer.
but
be
I
true
think
right
that
now.
he is. Even if you don't have one, he is the guy.
He's
And
the
so-
he's the longevity we need.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he's gonna turn into the guy, even if they try to not have a guy.
He's just very north-south and falls forward.
And strong.
And he can get past the tackle.
He got a shoe streak tackle today when it wide open.
Okay, I get it. Yeah. Sorry that he got shoestring tackled one time.
He
So
did.
did-
He
so
did
did
score a
He said he
touchdown.
doesn't go down, and I just said no. He has a shoe streak.
He
tackle
did score a
today.
touchdown when he got hit on the 5 and dragged him.
Yeah, I don't know
5
if he got in.
No, he got in.
Did you see the official that waves the play on when they're fixing to do the extra point? He was holding them up, and he was holding them up again, and then he turned to the right to go ask a question.
And
to
the other.
and they went ahead and just kicked the extra point. And then he came out and did the arm thing like they shouldn't have done it yet because I think they were still looking at the. I like to see the broadcast
He got in though.
because I don't think he got in.
No, he got in.
It looked from the big screen. He got in. I think
From our seats as well. We had a really great,
really
vantage
good
point.
seats.
Yeah.
Really
See,
good
if you're,
seats.
yeah,
Right
if you,
there.
if you,
Yeah.
I could see how if you were an end zone analyst, you
Yeah.
would
Yeah.
understand that.
On
he
the
got
far
in.
side of the field, that's
Yeah,
100 and
Yeah, that's
110 yards
that's
away.
a long
from
ways
you.
over.
It's
And you're
also
looking at his
two-dimensional.
back.
Eagle
Right, yeah.
vision.
Yeah. So, no, I do agree. I think made it again. It's one of those things. We've heard DeMarco Murray preach it up. Where I can appreciate Eric Gray's professionalism, and I understand it. But man, if he's a professional running back, he's going to be able to understand. Look, like I'm not the guy who's going to go get you these tough yards. Run me in a 2-back set and send me out wide on a play action.
Maybe that's where we get surprised, though. Maybe
Yeah.
when Levy's offense is fully clicking, that is more the type of back that he needs, and that is more the role than he would either be running back 1 or, to Lucas's point, there isn't a running back 1 because he's on certain play schemes. He's the guy for those type of play schemes, and you're running those half the time.
Well, and
I don't
it's
know.
powerful to have someone like that.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Or
'Cause
two-
it's
two
hard
guys
to
like
defend
that.
against. You can't set up against it. We kind of talked about it last year, which I don't want to bring up last season at all. But it's one of those things where kind of like, what are they seeing at practice that's earning him that starting spot? Because they're obviously seeing DeMarco Murray is pretty high on the guy. They're obviously seeing something good at practice where he's earning this
Levy's
spot.
praising him and saying that's Eric's
How many
move.
times did they throw the ball to the running back today?
A couple.
Couple?
Yeah.
Okay.
I saw.
So just-
I only remember one time they threw the ball.
I don't
to Eric
remember
Gray.
him
Well,
at all.
they had the one to Major on the swing pass that got batted down.
And then,
Okay.
but they had a connection to Eric Gray that he actually got a decent amount of yards, which
Yeah.
is why I'm saying like
So
Eric Gray out of the slot is phenomenal.
that might be
I love the 2-back set with both of those.
Did you
guys.
see what they brought for Root back?
where, like you're saying, they can't set up against it.
Well, yeah,
because
because
you
you
don't know
can't
what's gonna
dictate what
happen.
you're doing.
What do you
But
Right.
they might throw to the running back when we're getting to the Texas game. That may be something they go to 6-7 times.
Right.
So then it may be a different wrinkle.
They had a possession where Farouk came in motion and lined up next to Gabriel.
They
I
did.
saw that.
With
I
the,
liked
with the
it.
running back on the
I
other
liked
side.
it a lot.
Did,
It's very
how
Marquise
many
Brown-esque.
snaps under center did Gabriel take today?
Be a good stat. I don't know. Not a
I
lot.
don't know.
I don't think a lot.
I
at
don't
all.
think he took any.
I didn't think he
I
took
don't
any.
remember any.
I think it was 0.
I was curious.
Do you need any? Do we want?
I
any?
want to see on some 3rd and 1s the damn quarterback get up under center and be able to just push forward.
But how often were we in third
How many
and 1
3rd
today?
and 1s did we have?
We were not in 3rd and short at all.
I didn't say we had to do it today.
Oh,
I
fair
just
enough.
asked if anybody noticed it today because every video you've seen of him, it's always
How many fake
shotgun.
punts did we have today?
Unfortunately, none.
Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting to see if they do line up and do that. I would hope that we can blow somebody off the ball. We did go for that 1 4th down and got it cleanly. that I was very glad they went for it on 4th down. It was pretty obvious they needed to go for
It was
that
a good
one.
call. Good
Yeah.
play
It was
call.
a good call, good play call.
That was Eric Gray up the middle, wasn't it?
It was.
Yep, it was.
On a
I was
4th and
shocked
2.
because me and Connor were saying
a nerve-wracking
put
Eric Gray
Major
up the
in,
middle.
and they didn't.
It was like 4th and 2, and he gained
Right.
4 yards or something
Yeah,
like that.
he cleanly got it and actually threatened to get more.
But the whole line pushed everybody from right to
was a good
left, and
push.
he just went.
And there wasn't a
it
bunch
was
of
technically outside
pulling
the tackle
and
because
moving and,
it was just everybody go left, and
complexity.
he just go to the right of him.
Yeah.
I think, and it may be a hot take, but after watching today, you may have a lot of Marcus Major. You may have a lot of Javante Barnes.
You might have a lot of Javante Barnes.
Like Javante Barnes.
the way that guy ran.
he ran hard.
And he ran hard, and that
He's
guy,
quick.
That guy says he
He
doesn't
scored
want
the
to get
touchdown and
tackled.
got
He's
called
not
back.
getting tackled. Like
Yeah.
that.
He needs to protect the ball a little bit.
Yeah,
The
that first one he had, but man,
The one he fumbled, he about took that defender's head off.
Yes,
and
he did.
He knew he was about to. I think he was like, "Man, please don't take me out. Like, I'm really sorry." He kept tapping his chest, like, "Me, me, me."
Yeah,
And
and they didn't.
to Levy's credit, like, hey, you're a freshman. We're gonna give it. We're gonna give it to you
Who
again.
recovered that ball?
He did.
He did.
He did?
He
fell
fell
back
right
on
on it. Yeah.
Gotcha.
And then he went and scored a touchdown that got called back. So
Yep.
Hard run too.
hard run. I mean, it's a weird. Like, man, it sucks because everything I've seen with Eric Gray is so great. Like, I think he's a great teammate. It's just one of those things. It's the Justin Broyles effect, right? Like, you can work as hard as you want, but man, you just might not be the dude. And you know, I think Eric Gray has a role in this team, and to
That must be
Steve's
Deshaun White.
yeah,
Yeah,
to
he's
Steve-
the offensive.
yeah, to
Deshaun
Steve's
Watson.
point, I think there may be some wrinkles in there that you can run, but I think Marcus Major, Javante Barnes, and even once Sawchuk gets in the fold, it's our running back room is deep.
It is.
Legitimately is.
We added that guy
So-
from Washington as well.
yeah.
He came and jumped on.
And
the
what's funny is he's not going to see a damn
no, he won't.
snap this year.
It'll be next year. Before
Completely
he
changing subjects. Sticking with OU football though. So, was anyone surprised by the game day atmosphere? The in between during the timeouts, in between play. The fact that not a lot changed. I was a little surprised by that.
I was disappointed.
I was a little disappointed by it. I thought there would be a different look and feel. I know that a lot of those things are big hits. The which ring is hiding, follow the ring, follow the hidden football, Heisman,
Did they do that
deal.
today?
They did both of those today.
Oh, I missed
And
that.
They did a lot of the same stuff. Maybe this is an old take, but I get tired of the constant noise. And I know a lot of people like this stuff, but I would at least like to see some fresh stuff, and I thought there'd be some fresh new things. The only thing that was fresh and new maybe was the warm-up where they did the interlock. I wasn't there in time to see it, but I was waiting in
They
a
went in the locker-
god-awful forever line.
They
to
went in
wait
the
for
locker room
concessions.
early.
But they did the locking arms, and they, I guess, went into the locker room with that, and then came out to Crazy Train. That was kind of interesting.
Well, and they were delayed. In coming
Yeah,
out.
one
And they were
new
delayed
thing is
coming
they
out.
showed Toby Keith on the screen for 30 minutes before the team decided to run out of the tunnel.
That was kind of weird.
That was new.
Well, and
Yeah.
that and the thing that Christian and I were talking about in the third quarter was it was not a pivotal, obviously not a pivotal part of the game, but it was a part of the game where it's like, hey, like let's get a little excited.
Uh-huh.
Playing Red Solo Cup.
That was
Yeah.
weird.
It's embarrassing.
What are you doing?
I thought that was pretty embarrassing.
We don't
Pretty
need
dumb.
that.
We
Well,
don't
and
need that
it
at
was
all.
kind of interesting to talk about two other games actually. The Pitt game, the stadium atmosphere of that game, the Pitt West Virginia game on was that Thursday or Friday?
Thursday.
Thursday night.
night. That stadium atmosphere looked electric. And
Biggest
That's
game.
the backyard brawl, though.
right.
That's,
Still,
that's
it's
like
it's
Bedlam
not
for
here.
them.
But no, but
But-
you're not gonna. I guarantee you, we probably
won't
play Red
change.
Solo Cup in
Yeah.
fucking Bedlam. Sorry,
Yeah.
But
pardon
then,
my language.
but then I turned
seriously.
on
Yeah.
I turned on Penn State Purdue, and the Purdue stadium atmosphere was awful. And it brought OU vibe. I was like, wow, that's literally
Just
how
dead.
every single time they had a big third down, they were playing some goofy country song, and no one's hyped up. No one in the stadium is electric and wanting to really root on the team. I will say I saw multiple times the defense was asking the crowd to get pumped up.
Were the
Yeah.
students still in the stands at that game? I think they were.
Was it a 35-point game?
I also 35 points, and were the students in the sun the whole time?
I don't think they were in the sun in a night game.
No,
in
no,
Purdue.
you're right. Not at Purdue, but no,
Yeah.
maybe here they were actually baking.
Yeah.
like
So you're
sardines.
going to move the student
Welcome to
section
Oklahoma.
to the west side.
Yep.
You schedule
Absolutely.
schedule- yeah, or
move the
schedule
student
games.
section behind the actual home team.
Yeah.
No, you want them causing havoc to the
dude.
away team.
No.
That's why they're set
Well,
up over there.
Here is one thing
If
I'd
they don't
say,
do that, then move them.
I will say I think that in the evolution of things they need to do in that stadium, and I don't want to get off necessarily on a rant about things, but I know I waited in a line forever for substandard concessions, and I know you, Jay, waited in that same line. Or that same
Substandard
concession.
overpriced concessions.
Overpriced, just no semblance of understanding how lines should work. There's no direction. There's one worker. You waited forever and missed a lot of the game, waiting all through halftime.
I was in line from 1 minute left in the second quarter through the entire halftime, and I missed the first defensive and offensive possession of the third quarter to get water.
And
At
that's
Joe Castiglione.
unacceptable. That's unacceptable. They need to improve a lot of things, and one of the things I think they need to do is I think they need to probably reduce capacity in that stadium, or they need to build a lot more facilities to accommodate it.
They're going to have to build out.
And I'm circling all the way back to the student section to say I think there's some problems with how they do this with the student ticket, and this may bump into some philosophies that people want to have or some things they want to aspire to, but we give away student tickets, and I say give away because they're extremely cheap, and we give them to a lot of students. And maybe to your point, Lucas, those seats could maybe go to someone else who values them more. Maybe we need to have fewer student tickets that we give away.
What is
Maybe
the
it needs to be
allotment for
more
that?
expensive.
I don't know, but it's from what? It's from the goal line to the 30-yard line.
They moved them into the goal line, at least the 30, if not the
maybe
40.
Maybe the 40.
Because they
Well,
moved the band over there.
wait,
Also,
and
the
they used to be in that
7,500
corner, but
maybe?
they're not in that corner anymore. Now they got front and center seats.
The newer upper deck was also empty when.
Yeah, I
In
mean, they're
the
going
third
down to
quarter.
the lounge thing. I mean, it was hot. It was crazy hot. And those students, in their defense, they're general admission seats. Maybe
Right.
they need to go back to scheduling seats for
Reserve
them.
seats.
Reserve the seats because they have to get in there 2 hours early, and they're baking that entire time.
Yeah.
So something's
That's
broken
how it was
about
when
that
you were in
system.
college.
Doesn't matter. They shouldn't have to stay there. But if they're not going to stay there, maybe there's someone else who values that seat more, and maybe as part of everything they need to rethink in that stadium, it's how many tickets we give to students. Just a thought. But I'm not going to begrudge the students for leaving early. It's very hot. There's a lot of people that left. There were thousands and thousands of
There
people
were.
throughout that stadium that left because it was crazy hot, and we were winning.
And there
the
was
game.
no reason this game shouldn't have been a 6 o'clock game. Other than whatever the TV decided it.
Right.
Well,
Because usually the first game of the year is a 6.
that's kind of a key decision. I mean, that's our key reason.
No, it's not.
TV guides everything. A lot
That's
of
not
times,
true.
We've had a lot of opening games at 6 because of the heat.
They do not do it because.
I don't
of the
think it's
heat.
because of the heat. They do it because
We
of TV.
played Nebraska at 11 a.m. last year.
It's always
and
because
almost
of TV.
Died.
That wasn't the first game of the season.
But I'm just saying they don't schedule games because of the weather.
They do.
No, they don't.
They don't. They,
no,
they
do
schedule
not.
them because
they don't care.
No, they don't. They don't care at all.
Okay.
They schedule them because of TV. 100% because of TV.
All I know is the
Tulane
guy
was at
running my
2:30 last
concession
year.
stand.
When we have the pay-per-view game that OU controls the starting time, it's a night game.
Yeah,
Right,
Yes,
because TV doesn't dictate
because
it.
TV does not control that game.
That's the only time that we can control the time.
And guess what? Next week we're on ESPN Plus, and what time do we play? 6:30.
And that's one thing I'm looking forward
6:30
to.
or 6?
6:30 is when we'll kick.
One thing I'm looking forward to in the SEC is I think those 11 a.m. kickoffs will be a thing in the past because we're in the far western part of that region in the central
fair.
time zone.
Yeah.
That should help out a lot.
So
Because
a lot
I
of 2:30, 95
I
degree
would
games.
like to have some more say in it and not just be dictated by TV and have us forced into these weird time slots. That would improve the situation too.
I think we have a team of people who also, I mean, look at just given it's nominal, I guess, in the grand scheme, but like just with the LED lights, I mean, look at what we're doing for that 4 night games. I think Turnip Seed and those guys are going to have say, Joe, like, you need to push back on some of this stuff, which I know Joe C has tried, and I get TV dictates all, but I mean, there's got to be at some point where there's a break where you say, look, I'm done with this. I'm done with 4 out of 6 of my games being before the sun sets type of mentality.
Right. I think that'd be important. So I'm looking forward to seeing some positive developments there, but they're going to be a long time coming, unfortunately.
What are we going to talk about on our midweek pod coming up?
There's a lot of things to talk about. We could talk about these type of issues. We can talk about the playoff expansion
Yep.
and potentially an earlier move to the SEC, which I think is getting
Looking
more and
imminent.
more
It's
likely.
looking imminent.
Yeah, maybe even imminent. I think that that we're seeing dominoes continue to fall. That's exciting. The changing landscape in college football is exciting. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about what the prospects look like for some of these lesser teams. I was talking about this with some guys at work, and I think it's going to look so radically different if we have to wait till 2026 for a 12-team playoff. We may not have anything that's called a Power 5 or a
Group of 5.
Group of 5.
Yeah. Maybe
it may
the
be
Super
something
Three.
There's gonna be
completely
3,
different.
yep,
Yeah,
3 major
I think
conferences.
it might be as well. So
The
let's
Super
talk about
Three.
that a little bit on Wednesday. Anything else to wrap up here in the post game?
We got
Sooners win it
locks on Wednesday.
45-13.
We got locks on Wednesday.
We got to do the locks of the week on Wednesday. We're going to do
We'll go over our locks from this
go over
past
our
week.
locks in this
We'll
past
go over our
week
wins,
and
losses this week.
how well we did. It was not a stellar week. We got some backdoor covers and some front door covers and some we got screwed covers and
some surprise games.
Some surprise games. What do you know? It's back. College football's on, and we had some surprises.
We got a
the
couple
beauty of
games
it
left
all.
this week too.
We
so.
do. We have some exciting
Sunday
games
night, Monday night
coming on
games.
Sunday and Monday.
So
all right. So until next time, Boomer.
Sooner.